Hey everyone, and thanks for jumping back into the cryptoverse. Today, we're going to talk about Cardano and its native token, ADA. ADA has it in a runaway. If you guys like the content, make sure you subscribe to the channel, give the video a thumbs up, and also check out the Telegram channel, which you can find a link to in the description below. We are ending the sale on the premium list in less than a week, so if you've been waiting to sign up for that, make sure you sign up. You can find a link to that in the description below if you want to know how I'm navigating these markets. Let's go ahead and jump in. So with ADA, we have this chart that we've been tracking for about a year and a half, maybe a little bit less than a year and a half at this point. And the general idea is back in March of 2020, there was a major capitulation event in the cryptocurrency markets, okay? And a lot of us woke up one morning to see our entire portfolio down 60%. Now, some of you are new to the market and you've never experienced that. You maybe have experienced a 60% pullback because we saw Bitcoin pull back a very modest 55% back in May, but you haven't experienced it more than likely in a single day, right? You know, we didn't see it go from 64K to 28K in a day. That was more or less what happened. I mean, like everyone's portfolios were just down incredibly. I mean, it was an incredible amount, right? And I remember looking at my portfolio that morning and kind of doing like a double take. I was just like, wait, is this a glitch or something? It wasn't. But what that did was it kickstarted the next leg, right? It kickstarted the next leg to the asset class to propel us to new highs. And one of the reasons I like to measure it from that level is because on that day, those are the days when you're at the 200-week moving average or wicking below it. Those are the days where you just have to be in the right mindset of buying, and you have to basically just buy the fear. And believe me, there's going to be another day, and it's going to happen again, and Bitcoin will drop back to the 200-week SMA at some point. I don't know if I said 200-day, but 200-week SMA at some point. And people are going to be scared, but the people that buy at that level are probably going to make out pretty well, right? They're probably going to make out pretty well. And when I look at this chart, there are a few caveats to it. And we have to discuss these caveats because one of the things I don't like doing is cherry picking, right? It's extremely easy to cherry pick things. It's extremely easy to say, you know, a certain cryptocurrency is great because it has had returns of a certain amount over a very specific time frame. So what is the caveat on this chart that we have to mention, otherwise we will just be cherry pickers ourselves? Well, we have to mention the fact that ADA bled a lot back then. I mean, it went from $1.38 or something in 2017 all the way down to less than 2 cents. Okay? Think about that. Less than 2 cents. And when it made that move on March of 2020, you could look at it and say, okay, well, it has outperformed everything basically that we've been following, right? It's been outperforming everything. Now, I know some of you guys have a pet project you want to show me that's done better, and that's fine, and I hope you made a ton of money on it. But when we're looking at a lot of the top projects back then and sort of just tracking them, ADA has consistently been either the top performer or one of the top performers, and at this point, it more or less just has it in a runaway, right? I mean, it's coming in over a modest 100x. Over a modest 100x from the bottom. Now remember, the caveat is that, and let's compare it to say like Bitcoin. Bitcoin is down here. It's the yellow line that you sort of see cutting through some of these coins. And the whole idea is if you're going to hold altcoins, they sure as hell they sure as hell should be outperforming Bitcoin, right? If you own an altcoin that is consistently underperforming Bitcoin, then why in the hell do you hold it, right? Why in the hell do you hold it? Bitcoin is a lot less risky. And again, I hold more Bitcoin than ADA, but ADA has also given me a lot more returns than Bitcoin. But that's not the point, right? I mean, yeah, like if I had been 100% ADA, be doing really, really, really well at this point. But the point is to say, you know, you need to understand that Bitcoin has less downside risk. Okay, so that's what happened back in March, right? Maybe the ROI from where Bitcoin bled to, from where ADA bled to is a lot higher, okay? But if you say compare it from, the 2017, 2018 peak, Bitcoin is actually doing a bit better right now because Bitcoin's more than 2x its 2017 peak, ADA is not 2x its 2018 peak. It's almost 2x, but Bitcoin's over 2x. It's like 2.5x, right? So it's easy to cherry pick, right? It's easy to cherry pick lows where altcoins completely get wiped out, and then to look at these charts and say, well, it's better than Bitcoin. But again, remember that Bitcoin has continued to do really, really well. It just has less downside risk. Therefore, when it does move back up again, it's moving up from a higher price just because it didn't capitulate quite as hard as the altcoins. With that said, if you compare ADA to the other altcoins, it's still outperforming basically everything. Okay, basically everything. So I wanted to update this chart. We used to update this chart like every single month, but you know, I didn't really see the need to do it every single month anymore. But I do want to occasionally check in on it and sort of see where things are. And the whole idea is if you have cryptocurrencies that are just underperforming the yellow line, which is Bitcoin, you kind of have to wonder, you know, what you're doing with those cryptos. So let's pull out of this chart. Okay, so I'm gonna pull out of this one, and what we're gonna do is we're gonna go over to the ADA chart. Okay, and you know, I've got a lot of questions about ADA and whatnot, and what is its theoretical upside, and you know, what does the market look like today? And obviously you guys know my opinion on the market is that ultimately the cycles will lengthen and that Bitcoin will experience diminishing returns. If you're watching this video, I imagine you hold ADA, right? I imagine you hold ADA. And you know, as far as you can tell with ADA, I mean, you know, to hell with diminishing returns, right? I mean, it's already put in higher returns than it did last cycle. But remember, last cycle, it only launched at like the very end of the cycle. So it's not really a fair comparison. You can't really compare what it was able to accomplish in just a few months. You know, had it been around, say, a couple years before that, the returns on ADA from the last cycle could have been a lot higher. But then again, it probably depends on what exactly the project was doing at the time. So when I look at this chart, I've told you my thoughts, right? I've told you my thoughts many, many times. What do I think? I think we are in a long accumulation, right? And I've joked many times about ADA being a stablecoin, not because I think it's going to, you know, not because I ever thought it was going to stay at those levels forever, but just because I was trying to prepare people for the idea that, hey guys, we could be here for a while. Similar to how Ethereum was at a lot of, had a lot of these similar moves back in the prior cycle. We expect this, right? Expect this. And don't become dismayed. Don't get upset from sideways movements. Remember, stake your ADA. Go stake your ADA with the ITC2 stake pool. We'll put a link down in the description below if you want to go stake and earn interest or rewards on your ADA. Make sure you guys are doing that. And if you don't want to come stake it with me, that's completely fine. Go stake it with someone else. Just make sure you're earning interest on your ADA. So we look at this chart for Ethereum again, and I just want to provide some context and say, guys, look at this chart. I mean, I lived through this, right? I lived through this. And at the time, it wasn't so clear. You know, Ethereum put in a peak, and then it even went slightly higher later on, and then it still came back down. And then it came back down lower than where it came before. And even on this wick, okay? So Ethereum had a very crazy move back then. And when you look at the cycle as a whole, if you're looking at it from here and you didn't live through it, you just say, oh man, like these guys were so lucky. They just bought over here and they sold everything over here. But in reality, when you zoom in to some of these price moves, again, you'll see these 60 or 70% drops, which is very similar to what ADA has experienced itself. Okay, like from this peak here, that local top down, it was a modest 63 to 64% drop, which again is very similar to what Ethereum experienced last market cycle. So I look at this and I say, well, guys, you know, this could be the launch pad, right? This could be the launch pad now. This could be all the accumulation we need, and this could be the time where we just start moving back up or moving up to whatever our new level is going to be, right? Whether it's going to be a $3 ADA, a $4 ADA, I don't know. But we also need to be prepared at all times for the downside risk. And the downside risk just comes from Bitcoin, okay? As far as I'm concerned, if Bitcoin stays above the 20-week, I don't see any reason why ADA won't continue to perform really well. But we always have that risk of Bitcoin going back below the 20-week, just like it did in May. And it's because we have that risk that we need to understand that the downside risk always exists. If someone tells you that things won't ever correct back down, that's not true. They can. And I distinctly remember, and I'm just trying to give you guys my perspective because I lived through it. I distinctly remember this back in the last cycle with Ethereum, because it came up, it came back down, and then it came up, and it seemed like it was time, right? It seemed like it was time. Now, the one caveat to this move is that it happened. This one was in March, and then this one happened, not too long later. Right? It was in June. But still, we still had a ways to go after that before we actually were able to put in another massive rally. And I think, in my opinion, the only thing holding ADA back from making a rally in kind is just Bitcoin staying healthy. Okay, it doesn't really matter at the end of the day, in my opinion, what the news is of the market. I think ADA is doing great things. I think they have a lot of great things coming with smart contracts and everything that's going to be hopefully built on top of it. But at the same time, we also recognize that if Bitcoin kicks the bucket one day, it's not going to stop ADA from having one of those retracements, right? It's not going to stop ADA from doing that, because if you think about it, nothing really fundamentally changed with ADA from say the lows over here in this accumulation range from $1 to 250 and then back down. It was just sort of a lot of different market sentiment at the time, coming back down here. Obviously, Bitcoin was below the 20-week moving average. Now we're coming back up. So I just look at this and I say, you know what? This could be the launch pad, right? This could be the launch pad that takes us to the next level. But I also don't want to get ahead of myself and assume that it has to be, because at one point in time, I did get ahead of myself with Ethereum back over here, and then it actually wasn't the launch pad, and we had to kick the can down the road a little bit longer. So I would say with ADA, I do see it making a move up to the next level. Right now, I would say the accumulation range is between $1 to 250, maybe 260 or so. Would I like to see that move to $3 to $4 or to $5? I would love to see it. I do think it'll happen. I do think it'll happen this market cycle. I just don't know when. I don't know when. I don't know if it's going to happen now, if Bitcoin's going to hold these levels above the 20-week long enough for ADA to make that move, or if we have to kick the can down the road for a little bit longer. Some people ask me, what's the next ADA, right? And I get this question all the time. They say, well, what's the next ADA? And it sort of reminds me of like, say, like the stock market, where sometimes the next anything is just the thing you're looking for in the first place. And the best thing I can think about, I was thinking about like Apple. I was looking at the Apple stock earlier, and it'd be sort of like looking at this chart, right, and saying, well, the people who bought over here, they were able to experience this nice 1,200% rally. And then someone could sit over here and say, oh, well, that's a nice move by Apple. What's the next Apple? And it's like, well, the response is just Apple, right? I mean, it's like, it doesn't mean that it can't continue to eventually put in another 1,000% move, right? It's just perhaps that's what you're looking for, right? You're just looking at the same project. Now, with that said, do I think ADA can put in another 100x this market cycle? I don't. I really don't. I say that as a huge ADA bull. And for those who doubt me, I know some people think that I just started talking about ADA or something because they haven't actually watched the channel. Again, we have tons of videos if you go on the YouTube channel when ADA was less than 10 cents. And here's a video right here where I was talking about it. It was trading at 2 cents. Okay, I still worry about the health of the people who downvoted it. There were 16 people that downvoted. I really hope they're doing okay today. But again, I've been following this project forever. I told you guys back then that it was my hedge against Ethereum, that it was an incredible buy anywhere below 10 cents. If you go back and watch any of those videos from 2 years ago, that's what we said, right? Any incredible buy below 10 cents, most of it was 30 cents. All right, still a good buy, not as good of a buy as if you could have gotten it at 2 cents, 3 cents, 4 cents, and 5 cents, which you had 2 years to do. You had 2 years to do that. And I say that as, I've been watching this project grow for a long time, and it's sort of because I also believe in lengthening cycles that I don't think we're done yet. Okay, I don't think we're done. I think we have room to grow. I'm not overly concerned if we break out on this move or not. I just simply do not care, right? Stake it and forget about it, right? That's what I do. If it goes back down to $1, I don't care. If it goes back up, it goes to $3. I don't care, right? No one's getting out of bed for a $3 ADA. So the way I would say navigate this market with ADA at this point is to say, guys, look, we're at the local top. We've even put in new all-time highs. And I like new all-time highs, right? Really like new all-time highs. Gives us something to talk about. Gives us another perspective, right, on the market. Say, okay, well, this is what it's capable of. It reached this market capitalization once upon a time. But I also don't want to get ahead of myself, and I want to look at the market for what it is and say, you know what? I have my ADA position ready to go, right? I have it ready to go, and if we move up from here, you know, we're gonna be singing some songs in the not so distant future. And if we need to cool off for a little bit, just like Ethereum did back in the last cycle, that's fine too. If anything, this move by ADA, it's, you know, I feel like it provides some you know, I mean, it basically, it gives us wiggle room, right? It gives us wiggle room, which is not something that a lot of other projects give us, okay? It was this move by ADA over here in May that gave us the wiggle room that when Bitcoin dumped, we just came back down to the bottom of the range. We didn't actually come all the way back down here like a lot of other projects, right? We like that, right? Give us the gains to the upside, minimize the risk to the downside. Again, it's given us that move. So what does that mean? Well, it means we're either going to launch here, or if Bitcoin dumps, we just settle back into where we were settled, and we just keep moving along, just like Ethereum did, right? Just like Ethereum did back over here, or even over here. This move was a little bit shorter. Okay, so remember, this one here was about a year, and then this one was about half a year. Okay, and for ADA at this point in this cycle, we're looking at about half a year. So we saw two Ethereum moves last cycle. One was half a year, one was a year. And by the way, you know, if you're an ADA holder and you're always constantly hearing people say a lot of things about the project, I'll say this, right? You know, I sort of experienced the same thing last cycle with Ethereum. I loved Ethereum last cycle. I love it even more this cycle. Everyone accepts Ethereum this cycle as being like, you know, the best thing behind Bitcoin. And again, to be completely honest, I own more Ethereum than ADA, but it's just because I like to manage my risk, right? I like to manage my risk in the event of the downside. But last cycle, a lot of people called Ethereum a scam, right? And they said it was useless. They said it had no utility, nothing like that. And then look at it today, right? Now, some of you would say, yeah, look at it today, like look at the gas fees and whatnot. But again, the gas fees show that it has utility. And again, I will say, even though I know I'm speaking to a ton of ADA fanatics, right? Ethereum could solve the gas fees if it wanted to. It just doesn't want to sacrifice that level of decentralization, right? It just doesn't want to do that, and that's fine. The high gas fee shows the network's being used. Okay, hopefully ADA one day has the same demand that Ethereum does, right? I mean, this is the dream. So you know, I look at this and I say, hey guys, I do believe that this is the range that will launch us to whatever our new normal will be. Right? Whether it's a $5 ADA, whether it's a $4 ADA, whether it's a $7 ADA, an $8 ADA, I don't know where the next move is going to take us. I believe this is the range that will take us there. The only question is how much longer do we have to spend in this range before we actually make that move? Could be one day, could be 100 days, could be 200 days. I don't know. But what I will say is that it doesn't matter, because as long as you have ADA and you're staking it and you're earning interest on it, the longer the move takes, the more ADA you make until that move comes, right? So just some food for thought on the ADA USD valuation. And if we go look at, say, like the ADA Bitcoin valuation, you know, this was something we were following. We put in a new local high. And I have seen a number of people mistake this for the all-time high. And remember, guys, we always got to scroll back and see, not really, right? Not really. This is not the all-time high for the ADA Bitcoin valuation. In order to get there, we need to go up a very modest and humble 72%. Maybe let's call it 73%, because 72.5 will round up. 73%. ADA needs to go up 73% against Bitcoin to put a new all-time high. And for constant Bitcoin, which we will not have a constant Bitcoin more than likely, but if we did, then a 73% move from the current price would put ADA, in fact, at about, let's see, about $4, a little over $4 or so. Okay, maybe 430 or so, maybe 420, but somewhere around that level, right? 420, somewhere in that ballpark in the event, right? In the event of a sustained move by ADA against Bitcoin to the prior all-time high for a constant Bitcoin. But again, we know Bitcoin's valuation is dynamic. This is just a theoretical discussion. We also could look at the ADA Ether valuation, right? And say, well, what's that doing? Well, this is something I followed extensively through the bear market, and we noticed these local top after local top after local top. And then if you follow this channel back in January and February, I said, hey guys, I've been following the ADA Ether valuation for a long time, and if there exists, right, this is the math major coming out of me, I did do nuclear engineering after that, but if there exists a set of conditions that allow for an ADA Ether valuation that would move past these prior local tops, it would be these, okay? Now, I didn't know if it was going to make it. I just said if there exists a set of conditions that would allow for it, these would be the conditions that we would need to have. And we completely broke through it, right? We completely broke through it. And we revisited the local highs over here, but we still did not put in a new all-time high on the ADA Ether valuation. Now, we're going to ignore the first candle wick because when it launches on an exchange, it's really hard to take that kind of stuff seriously with those prices because you really don't know. But if we just say go up to this wick, which happened at the peak of AUSD, another 81%, right? Which would still put us between that $4 to $5 range. Okay, so that would get us to new all-time highs, or would get us at least back to the prior all-time high of the ADA Ether valuation. And so far, ADA Ether still looks incredibly strong, considering that it's actually, it's come back down to these levels a couple times, and we've rebounded right back up, right? So it's not really bleeding against Ethereum. It's outperforming Ethereum, and it's sustaining it. And that's what we'd like to see, right? We want to see it sustain. Now, when did it not sustain, right? When did it start coming back down? Well, it came in March and April, okay? But then, what's interesting is in May, when Bitcoin broke the 20-week, ADA actually held up better than Ethereum, which, to be completely honest, was surprising to me. I love to see it, but I did not expect it, okay? So, with that said, we've talked about the ADA Ether valuation, we talked about the ADA Bitcoin valuation, and again, to go back to the question of, well, what's the next ADA? I don't know. I mean, I'm not great. I'm not going to talk about micro caps on the channel, right? We try to keep it to a certain market capitalization. Back then, we were in a bear market, right? We were in the bottom of the bear market, right? The bottom of the bear market. And so it's easy to measure things from the bottom of the bear market and realize a 100x move, right? Or a 125x move or something. If we're going to ask me today what's going to 100x, there's going to be some projects that'll, I'm sure will put in nice gains. But you're also not measuring it from the bottom of the bear market. You're measuring it from what a lot of us would consider to be sort of an intermediate phase of the cycle. Could you see another several X multiple on ADA's valuation against the US dollar before the market cycle peak is in? Of course you could. And it's because of that reason that we like just earning interest on our ADA, want to see it grow. But at the same time, to expect ADA to go up another 100x from here within the next 1 to 2 years is highly unlikely. And again, consult my best friend market capitalization if you have issues with that. Now, doesn't mean that ADA can't make new all-time highs beyond whatever it's going to put in this cycle in another cycle. Of course it can. I'm just saying there's got to, at some point this cycle, there's going to have to be some, upward limit where the sell pressure is just going to be too great and we got to go down for a little while. I don't think we're there yet. I don't think that a 250 ADA is what's going to send us, back down 85% or something. Could see us going back to $1 if Bitcoin dumps. But again, the nice thing about this rally, as always, is that it provides us some flexibility if in the event that Bitcoin does have a pullback below the 20-week SMA again. If you guys like the content, remember to subscribe to the channel, give the video a thumbs up, and also check out the Telegram channel, which you can find a link to in the description below. Remember to check out the sale on the premium list if you want to lock in the low rate. We'll have it going for a little bit less than a week, so make sure you guys sign up, lock in the low rate. You can keep that rate as long as you do not cancel. You'll get access to weekly reports and videos, the Telegram alerts channel, the Telegram chat room, the risk dashboard, and more. Make sure you subscribe. Let's go for 500,000 subscribers. Click the bell icon to turn on your notifications, and don't forget to stake your ADA with the ITC2 stake pool. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.